everybody. A very exciting week. You know, lots of things that have been around for a long time, seemingly coming to an end. But enough about game trailers. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. I'm Brandon Jones. I'm joined by Mr. Jeremy Hoffman,
Hello.
Mr. Marco Rosado. Mr. Ryan Stevens was a little too busy to join us to talk about last night's episode. Maybe he might pop in. You jumped into one episode halfway through, Marco.
Ryan
so
and I are packing to go to the wall. You guys get to stay at King's Landing.
Yeah.
Taking the black.
You were taking the black.
Lots of stuff to talk about. 2 episodes to talk about. So we normally watch through the show. I got the show paused here in the intro. I'm not going to bother actually watching episode 9. All took place on one location. We were just discussing before the show started. You know, you get some characters dying. We win, yay. That's really, you know, not that it was a bad episode by any means. It was incredible.
No, it wasn't. I mean, this was the big fight that we've all been waiting for. I think they did some really cool things with like the chain taking out a bunch of dudes and just like seeing those defenses, like the archers hanging over the side. Like they I think showed it better than it read in the book by far. Like and it's also nice to see point of views of other characters that weren't Jon Snow at that fight.
Yeah, good point. The music was really great in that episode. It was so foreboding, so ominous, just really deep, and just cellos just slamming against each other. It
Giants, you know, wildly. Yeah, it had everything you kind of wanted it to be. It was really, I was actually shocked they spent so much time on that. I thought we would have saw episode 10, like Stannis, in episode 9.
Yes, me
but
too.
they were just like, let's show another scene of 500 or 100 guys getting knocked off the wall. I'm like, great, let's keep doing it.
My brother is not a stuntman on television by any means, but he has done stage combat in theater for like 20 years, and he was blown away. He's like, this specifically that one moment, John jumps off the elevator. He doesn't even wait for the elevator to stop. He just jumps off, does a barrel roll, and goes right into like taking out 4 guys.
There was that, and there was like that jib shot that like flew.
Oh, that's what started it. Is him, is John joining the fight. And I loved that. I really hate it in TV and film when like a character all of a sudden is just this amazing swordsman, you know, can just pick it up. Like, get it to tie into the video games. What's his name from Assassin's Creed 4? He's like, climb up buildings, no problem. Yeah. And I like that John. We know why John is a good swordsman. We know why he's a good leader. He was raised to be that, and so it was a really great episode to see him finally. I like what Gren, was that the guy's name?
Gren.
I love when he gets rid of Slint and basically gives John the command, and it's nice to see that moment of all of them. Like, there's no question, you're the leader. But that poor guy who jabbed the barrel and got blown up, and then let go of the other guy who was hanging and shooting the people off the wall.
With Blackwater, the previous biggest fight in the show, there were more important characters, quote unquote, participating, right? As in this one, like if you watch like the reactions of the episode, for example.
Yeah.
Like, it's even in the book, like there's more chapters dedicated to Blackwater. I think there's only one chapter dedicated to the fight.
Yeah,
wall,
well,
right?
it doesn't. The fight at the wall, I think, takes place over a couple nights. Don't they hit him a couple times?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like that's a little bit different. Obviously, they don't do that in the show because they could only afford that once.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were gonna dip to black and then come back and be like 2 days later and see it still happening.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of self-containing it to one night was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously just wrapping that up quicker, and it was really smart to just dedicate a whole episode to that. It was definitely the thing that we knew was going to happen. You know, it's like, you know, Tyrion was going to go to trial, wasn't really sure what's going to happen there. Like all these little kind of false starts and realizing like, when are we going to see a resolution to this? Where we knew the wildlings were going to come, we knew they were going to bring it, we knew they were going to bring giants, and it was going to be bloody, and so it was a nice big payoff.
Ygritte's dead too, by the way.
Yeah,
Red is dead.
We haven't addressed
but that was the biggest thing
and
that happened.
From my recollection, John sees that from afar. He's kind
not
of
as close.
He's kind of at a sentry position, and he sees her from a distance getting taken out, and manages to go up to her later, and they have their little final last moment. But it's not a standoff. The little kid is not in the books. He doesn't end up killing her.
Isn't there the little archer kid? I don't think it's the same kid, but isn't there the really young one from like?
It's the guy that
Molestown.
Yeah, no, Ygritte killed his father.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like poetic justice.
Yep.
But yeah, I just imagine her taking the arrow in and being like, so that's what that feels like, you know, kind of appropriate. I don't remember how she probably gets an arrow in the book. I don't remember specifically what it is that takes her out. Love the dodge she does. She has a great, you know, like a flame arrow whizzing right by her head, and she, you know, goes past it.
She's good.
Definitely proves herself proficient. My wife was really frustrated watching it. She's like, I don't know who to root for, because like right when the redheaded guy, Half Spain or Mount Giant Spain or
Thorin.
Thorin.
Giant.
Tormund Giantsbane.
Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah. I mean, that guy's so awesome. So you're seeing him take out, guys in black cloaks. It's like, it's so conflicting.
The guy took like 4 arrows.
Yeah.
And he was still like, oh, I want to fight.
He's a monster.
So John makes the decision to leave. The great scene with the giant, going down the tunnel. I actually completely forgot about that. And when Sam and John are like, well, that's that. It's like, wait, what about my wife brought that up. Like, what about the guys in the tunnel? Lots of losses. John removes his weapon and wanders off into the forest, and we get this great resolution. Mission. Is this the first time we've seen Mance this entire season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. Kind of fun for actors to stick around just for the finale. Given that I'm sure it's convenient they're killing off all these people in this last episode. Like, don't have to pay them next season.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Not to skip ahead, but probably why Jojen died, so they just make a clean break at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So we are reacquainted with Mance. Are shown that the wildlings are completely chaotic. Even some of these guys in the Sentry, I was like, it's a hell of a risk, that one of these guys won't not know who you are and just kind of take the law into his own hands. But he has this great scene with Mance. What a great character. Lots of great moments, obviously, to happen with him. But I've been talking a lot. What do you think, Hoff?
No, I think, Mance is always one of those really interesting characters because he's not a bad guy. Like, he's not doing anything that he consider, there's a lot of evil people in this book. There's a lot of evil people that know what they're doing is, like, fucking other people over. And all he wants to do is get to the other side of the wall. And he's like, to him, the bad guys are the crows. Like, he's fighting against the bad guys. He's just trying to save his people. So it's this nice kind of moment with these two that are, like, very much they both want the same thing, but they just can't agree on it.
Well, the Maester said in episode 9, you imagine what the wildlings say about us.
Yep.
Jorah Mormont, so many damn names. It's so sad to come up with them. Said to Daenerys, in every battle, everyone thinks they're right on every side, and no one ever is completely. So that's definitely the mantra of this season is just don't make judgments about people. Assume that everybody's the same. It's just they're products of their environment. What would you do if you were born north of the Wall? What would you aspire to? And
they just want to get away from the White Walkers, which we
it's just this one damn castle. It's not like the whole wall they have to take care of. It's just this one spot.
They have 100,000 people though.
Untrained people. I mean, you see Stannis' men, which is about to happen, come in, and there's no question. No, the guy that makes a bolt
and that's
for
a lot
Stannis,
of those are
the
kids.
guy comes by the horse and takes
but
out.
For Westeros to absorb, I mean, Jon Snow knows, for Westeros to absorb 100,000 people as refugees would be crazy for the North. And I'm still surprised though that even after, because I mean I know Mance is not his friend, but I know Jon Snow empathizes with the wildlings. So to see him like the rest of the like, yeah, let me kill Mance, and have the wildlings just pretty much die north of the wall. That's kind of like crazy, but it's loyal to the end. The Night's Watch.
So, Mr. Stannis Baratheon, the guy I'm still rooting for, the guy I wanna like, I would rather live in his kingdom, I think, than like anyone else's crazy ass kingdom. It's just too hot where Daenerys is. Like King's Landing, it's very temperate. But
the effects for the horse cavalry charge were amazing.
Oh yeah, let's go back. And
I was like, "Is this Lord of the Rings? Like, this is crazy."
Yeah. The above shot. Yeah, they've done. These last couple episodes have really just shown the scale of the wall. Like,
or the armies. We've never seen an army
ton of people.
charge like this. Like this, the end of 4th season, and this is the first time we see like a shot like this. This is insane. Like just a Rohirrim, charge in Edoras or something. From
in just perfect formations. This is a great example of showing like, well, you saw they all kind of came out in the edge of the forest and clearly didn't know the distance of where those arrows were going to come. And so a bunch of wildlings just stand there yelling and get taken out. Whereas here these guys come in, perfect rows, perfect formation, all wearing the exact same armor, all wielding the exact same weapons. Kind of, repeating something that Jon Snow said last season when, he was kind of had to play a role when he was dealing with Ygritte, but kind of took her aside at that one moment and said, "You guys are going to lose. You need to understand that. Like you might beat the wall, but you're guys going to get they're going to wipe the floor with you when you face any kind of real army, whether that's whoever's claiming to own the North, whether that's Stannis, whether that's King's Landing."
It's going to get hard to have horses climb the wall, so they're the wildlings might have some issues. No, this whole scene, this is great because it's like you finally see, some of these big characters come together, and it's not. There's no anger, right? It's like all these guys are just like, we have a problem. Yeah, we all have our own way to deal with it.
Mance is really diplomatic about this.
We got to figure out a way to deal with it, and so it's like once the fighting stops, it stops. It's Mance, he says he doesn't want. He wants the fighting to end. He's not in it to fight. This isn't why he's here.
I think it's also like having Jon Snow's story is really slow, relatively speaking to the storylines, and Stannis's that's also kind of slow, merged together to give some momentum those two arcs, and that's the way it was in the book too. So
I like that everyone shows up. I like in the pyre scene where they burn all their brothers. We see Melisandre, we see Stannis' wife, we see Stannis' daughter.
Yep.
Obviously, we see my second favorite badass in the whole series, Sir Davos, here showing up and being like, "That's right, respect my authority."
And it just shows that, like, Stannis actually believes that this is a real threat. Like, everyone's kind of worried. Other people are worried about Daenerys. Other people are worried about, Cersei's worried about all these imaginary threats from other houses, and Stannis knows that there's an actual threat coming. Right. What he believes. Yeah. Like that there's a real threat.
Mm-hmm. So we're back in King's Landing. I could have used an establishing shot of the mountain here. I imagine, I know what was up, but I imagine maybe some people were confused seeing them all together. Because, again, they kind of left that up in the air from last time. Like, it looked like a bad stab, a wound that he took, but this is the mountain. And, again, there's a lot of, like, oh, it's Gregor Clegane. Oh, it's the Hound. Oh, it's the mountain. So it's really understanding who these people are and what's happening.
Yeah, if you go back and watch, I think it's episode 8, and the fight, right before the fight starts, you get a nice clean shot of the Viper's, squire, and he's polishing his weapon, and it's most likely that's the poison that he's rubbing
damp
on.
sheet.
Yeah.
And they brought up poison with the Viper before this season.
Oh, he's a Viper.
He's called the Viper.
And he's not.
There's no question.
The Dornish do like their poison.
We're seeing, possibly the beginnings of Cersei really, I wouldn't say losing it, but really getting to the edge. Really being like, okay, if I got to be nuts to assert myself with the maester here, with my father, with my kingdom, I'll do it. It doesn't matter. I'm not doing, not to jump ahead to the Tywin scene, but he keeps talking about family, and she's like, Tommen's my family. That's the whole thing, we use that word, but we mean two totally different things. And
I empathize with her for a little bit. For like when they said you took my child away and Joffrey's dead because of your schemes. Joffrey's dead because he was an asshole. But
Joffrey's dead because she didn't raise her child the right way. Is the problem. Like, if Joffrey was not a complete psychopath that she created, he wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, but at the same time, but having Tommen, which is actually a good guy, this is Anyway, I did empathize with her for a little bit until
he's removing the insides of the mountain. Sorry, we're a little
all
distracted.
All of the blood is being removed.
Gooey.
So
people were really confused about that scene. I know I was getting a lot of questions about that from friends.
They're supposed to be
last night. Yeah, but you got to remember. So the guy that's there with him is Qyburn, and he's been around. Qyburn, he's been around since what?
Since we first saw him,
And you see him originally in the book, he's with the Brave Companions, and in the show, he's with the Boltons. And he was originally kicked out of the Citadel, and he says it's the kind of first time you meet him, for experimenting on dead bodies, trying to bring them back, experimenting on live people, killing them, and watching how they die from the inside. So he has some very extreme medical knowledge that other people don't always enjoy. So he was kicked out. That's why he was the one that saved Jaime's hand, and so he's got something up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. And when he said, it's like, well, will he be back as he was? It's like, no, he'll be different. Will he be just as strong? It's like, oh yeah, he'll be stronger.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that's your hint that something's up with him.
Interesting Cersei episode. I'm just kind of thinking about it now. She's got this episode with her father, which is really drawing the line. Ends perfectly, I think. Boy, some of these scenes, they just really know how to wrap up. Him saying, "I don't believe you," which is like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You might never admit it. Just because. Later we see him with the crossbow pointed at him, and he's like, Tyrion, let's talk about this. It's like he is a little spineless as far as like what he's willing to admit and what he's willing to man up to, in front of the most important people in his life, supposedly. But yeah, Cersei's, her eyebrows are raging in this episode. She gets what she wants.
And this was very different from the book. We don't have the scene, but it's a good scene, and it kind of leads. We see her kind of going down a path of trying to, as you start losing control, you got to start reaching out and swiping at anyone that's taking it away, and this is just the beginning of that demise. And
spoiler alert: the last conversation she ever has with her father, we're assuming.
Yeah, so. And then you see, you know, with her father dead, it's like, oh, all this shit that he set up, she's gonna come in and knock it all off the table.
Mm-hmm. She's gonna give it a shot. Yeah. And nice to just remind ourselves of Tommen. We, you know, the last couple episodes we haven't really seen the king, and then immediately goes and makes out with Jaime. I don't know. What do you think about this scene, Marco?
This scene is weird. I think I think I mentioned it earlier to Ryan. It's just Jaime. When he said, "Why do the gods make me love a hateful woman?" in one episode, and I think he was over her after she kind of like brushed him away, and to him to be like re-seduced by her. I know, yeah, men are weak, whatever, but she is being the most evil right now. The way she's just speaking to him, and he's just buying it. I don't know. Like it's gonna be again. It's better to have great characters than black and white characters, but it's still jarring. Like he keeps going back and forth. Like, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? Am I?
The next time we see Jaime, he's rescuing Tyrion. Does this scene have anything to do with that? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to figure out this scene as well because it's, you know, I almost feel like it. There was that odd scene earlier this year with Joffrey, you know, as they're having sex on top of him, and people were. Mm-hmm. We went back and forth. Is that rape? Is that not? Is it like? And I think it just comes down to the fact that they have a really fucked up relationship, and you know she can't control her father. She can't do anything, but there is one man in her life and her family that she can control, and she asserts that. And I think she was ashamed of Jaime when he came back. She was pissed at him, and it's like. They've always had a fucked up relationship. Like, when people keep going like, oh, I can't believe he would force her. I can't believe she would have sex after they talk about their son. It's like, they threw an 8-year-old out of a window. Like, they're not happy people. Yeah. Like,
but Jaime changed over time, though. Like, after he met Brienne.
And I think they're slowing that change down for some reason for the show. I don't know. I mean, the timelines are all fucked up right now from the books, right? They're speeding things up. They're slowing things down. There's characters we haven't met yet that we should have met. There's a lot going on. So, I think it's interesting to see where he's gonna go, and where they're going with this relationship because it's very different from the books.
Yeah, but also with Jaime, it just feels that later when he frees Tyrion, he just had sex with his sister. They're like re-allied again, and people thought it's like, oh my god, he's gonna lead Tyrion to Cersei, and you know it's an ambush. Oh, Tyrion didn't go. You know, it's like no, Jaime's actually loving his brother. You know, it's like so it's kind of like that character is like two different.
Well, it's also like what he say. Like you said, it's like why did the gods make me love what was vengeful woman, and it's like, well, that he can't. You know, he knows he can't control, but he still won't let her kill his.
But
his little brother.
I love it when the Lannister kids are reduced to kids. I love when the look in Jaime's eyes when she's like, "I told Dad." He's like, "What?" Yeah. So maybe like that kind of has a part to do with it, where he's like, "Okay, if I'm gonna get in trouble for that, and if we're having sex right now, I'm breaking Tyrion out. Let's do it. You know, like I'm not gonna let anything hold me back. If everything's out in the open now, you know." If it's that or death, if it's not sleeping with you for some stupid reason versus get my rocks off. I takes what I want.
Ultimately, it feels like they were just trying to wrap up each of their storylines for the season and give it kind of a nice break, but didn't know. I felt like that was the most. I don't want to say useless, but like the scene that didn't matter. Like I felt like you could have ended with Cersei talking to her father. We really didn't need to see her again.
Yeah. So really quick. Sorry, we're done with Cersei.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, next scene is Dany with the dude with the beard. What is this? Why is this in the show right now?
This happens in the book as well, doesn't it?
But is he important? He's not. I mean,
no. It just shows that, like, I think it just shows that. I mean, the thing she learns constantly over and over in the book is she doesn't know what people actually want. Like, she goes in with very strong convictions and is like, "I'm gonna free everyone because that's what I wanted to be free, and I wouldn't ever want to be locked away." And it's like, it just shows that. There's a lot of gray, right? Like, and so this old man obviously doesn't. Things have changed, and he liked being a slave. He liked having everything taken care of, and.
But is this something that's like so important that needs to be in the season finale?
Well, think about it this way: what if this is a red herring? So what if you don't know, you get into this scene and it's just like, oh wow, what a decision she had to make. Okay, maybe she'll go and meet their family or something and realize something, and then everyone will come out and carry her on their shoulders like how we ended the last season. And then it's like, the next guy comes in, oh, what does this guy want? And then, boom, you hit this. Like, the first problem she actually the real thing that she's completely misunderstood.
Well, yeah, but I think it shows
something
that
I don't think about the show, where
she's
it's like
missing everything. She's missing every point. It's like she thinks she's mother of dragons and she could control them. She can't. She thinks that the slaves wanted, to be freed, and killing all the masters was a super simple solution, right? She's learning that ruling is a lot more than just making decisions. It's living with your decisions after you've made them.
She's on a power trip because she just took the city, and now it's like, I don't have as much power as I thought.
Right.
I don't even know where Drogon.
Drogon.
I don't even know where that guy is.
Yeah.
He could have killed hundreds of little kids, and this is the only one who actually like had the balls to come in and complain. There could be a whole line of people outside the pyramid right now with just bags of charred bones. So
I also think it plays off to where, we could talk about this in a spoiler cast, but who she ultimately kind of ends up pairing with in the next book. It's like that's all kind of how she rules the city is going to become very important.
Yeah.
You get a counsel from Mr. Barrison. Obviously, someone is not around.
Yeah.
So you get kind of the first taste of that, of her being like, okay, well, you're my most trusted advisor.
Saying the masters can possibly use this against you. They can bend the rules based on what you just, this precedent.
Well, that's the thing, right? She keeps just making these declarations and not realizing how any of it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
My wife is really funny because we're remodeling our house right now, and so we have to live in the room with the cat. So we put the cat in like a different room and lock off the door. And she was like, "This is how I feel every night when I put my cat in this other room and lock him off."
Yeah, it's like, very similar.
This is kind of melodramatic from her, like that shot that she looks back and she's like completely weeping, like, "Ooh!" It's like, I don't know, like she.
I don't know. Those screams were real fucking like.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
Well, super teaser because they showed that in scenes from the next.
Yeah.
They showed that in the ad of the dragons freaking out. But I mean, it was definitely, as far as all the stuff that happened in this episode, probably one of the lesser powerful moments.
Well, they're also like, it just shows their size, right? They're just getting to be,
they're bigger.
They're bigger.
Yeah. At the same time, like I think,
sized.
Yeah, I think it's part of because the show doesn't show the dragons that much because they're expensive characters to have around.
And we had a skeleton fight in this episode we needed to see.
Yeah.
So not all the CG could go towards the dragons.
But you don't see her cuddling with the dragons and the dragons being cool with her. Like, it's like we haven't seen these two dragons particularly since episode 1.
And their temperament with her, just to show that they're still kind of docile. They're still kind of they definitely look up to their older brother, or I guess they're all twins technically, but and that wraps up Dany. That's the last thing we see with her. Just these difficult decisions she has to make, and big decisions she has to make with dragons. Not spoilering anything, but we'll definitely get some more fun dragon moments next season for sure. So close the door on that scene. Oh, we're back at the wall. Boy, this was a stinky scene for sure. I don't know whose idea was to light up these bodies inside the castle.
Inside the castle, yes.
I might have done it at a minimum safe distance, but this is the scene I was mentioning before where we see all the Stannis' family, and again, something the show does so well that is so appreciated is like, if they should be there, they're there. If it's Joffrey's getting married, everyone who's invited is there.
Unless you're a dragon or a direwolf, and then you're in sometimes.
Yeah.
Then you're in every once in a while.
We'll get more Giantsbane episodes or moments and scenes next season because he's their cozy little captive, and with Mance, predictably, because they have
lots of people are at Castle Black. It went from being very empty to way too fucking full at this point.
Yeah.
But I like it. Doesn't feel like a Deus Machina where it's like, oh well, they just came in and saved everybody. It was something they set up. We knew that Stannis needed to.
He got this. He
felt the North was important, and Stannis is finally doing something. Where did Salazar ends up? I can't remember.
He is,
because we see, is he just with them? Is he just like back
they needed those boats to get those sellswords from Bravos all the way to.
Okay.
So the assumption he's
so he just helped in that shipping. Okay, I like that guy. Just want to see.
No, he's a good character. This was kind of like Jon Snow burning Ygritte. Like,
VIP treatment.
This is like some telenovela stuff.
This is some TV shit, but it matters. Like they played up their relationship, and it's like one of those things that you don't, in the show you don't get. He spent like a whole book with her, so it's like you get that.
But we haven't. She wasn't a character this season. That's the thing.
I know.
So the for viewers watching something, they haven't seen them kiss in a year and a half.
I just picture Gilly talking to Sam, being like, "If I died, would you take me out into the woods and burn me too, Sam?" Like, I would. And they were adorable. We haven't talked about them in episode 9. They were absolutely the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. The power couple. The power couple of the North.
So moving on to Bran. Finally,
holy fuck!
this is probably the best scene of the episode. I think. I don't know.
Definitely
from a VFX background.
This might be like one of the best scenes of the season. Like
Yeah.
this is done so much better here than it was in the book.
Yes.
Like there's some other characters in the book that they cut out. That there's some kind of big fighters, and yeah, this was just so much better. Like you get one dude in the book like grabs them, and they're like run, and like that's it. Like it's nowhere near this good.
I thought it was gonna be like just zombie dudes, like just actual actors.
Yeah.
And when that first skeleton comes out, I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is like Northern in World of Warcraft.
One thing I like about this scene too that I think is very well represented. It's very easy to make a fight or a skirmish. Like this moment here, we see this guy kind of creeping up on Hodor. You know, having these scenes where it's like playing Assassin's Creed. You know, you have 10 guys all standing around you waiting to fight. These guys aren't waiting. These guys keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And just it seems like a very real threat. We see Mira, is that her name? Jojen's sister. You know, where do you hit them? You know, what do you do? Just like split them in half and rip their skulls off.
Yeah.
It's crazy the amount of it's just the animation. Obviously, it's mocap, but I like the suddenness of it, like how quick they are. You know, they're not zombies.
Yeah.
They are. They're almost like video game characters. I mean, which is cool because it gives some immediacy to it.
I wonder where these guys qualify in the like. Are they whites that have gone?
Well, White Walkers are the.
Well, it's like White Walkers are at the very top,
yeah,
right?
and then the others is everyone else. These are others without skin.
Is that like they've gone so feral? It's kind of like in every video game ever when the zombies turn into pure skeleton. They're just way super.
They just had nothing to do, and so they just hung around, and a lot of snow fell on them over a long period of time, and they felt the vibrations, and
I'm good with that.
Yeah, they were waiting around the tree to get the children of the forest, and they knew they couldn't go in.
Right.
So they just waited there and they just buried by the
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I just didn't know because they're so different from like the whites that we've seen. You know?
This is setting up huge precedent for the show. If they're gonna have crazy skeleton warriors like this, is gonna be pretty awesome later on.
And Jojen is still alive in the books, correct?
Yeah, in the books, this does not happen this way.
For anyone inquiring on whether they should pick up book 6 when it eventually comes out, you'll get to possibly get another interpretation of what happens.
Decapitation does not kill the skeleton, by the way. Right. Obviously, by Jonan.
I think just fire.
Yeah, fire. Let's just go full video game right now.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was screaming when this happened last time. Like,
fireballs.
This is way different than the book.
It's like every LARPer's dream. Fireball, fireball, fireball.
So the children of the forest are... I mean, is that how accurate do you think that is from the book? In terms of the look?
I mean, I pictured them slightly green, but that was just me.
It felt like leaves and shit growing out of
the lighting is very, moderate at this point. Like it's very dull. There's not a lot of color popping out here.
Yeah,
so maybe we see them in sunlight.
Wise, creepy kids, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I remember they had cat eyes in the book. But yeah, like their voice and everything, I think that's pretty accurate. Like I was very happy when I saw her. But yeah, the video, I love how they animate. Like, in a game when skeleton warriors come out, they just suddenly like boom, they just spawn out of the ground. That's like somebody plays video games when they were directing the scene.
I love that she takes him out with one last fireball.
Yeah, no, he takes him out because he wants him burned so he doesn't turn into one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that the girl's is a girl, right?
Yeah, the girl burns Jonah and takes him out. Yeah. And it's really cool, and then the
fucking force field's great.
Yeah,
it's so good.
So the magic that animates their corpses does not work inside the tree. That's when they follow them in, they just break apart. Okay, no magic. Bloop, disassemble. And now we're inside this set that I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna keep this in storage in between seasons.
Yeah.
One guy pointed out on Twitter that he thought it was nice the guy who sold Billy the Mogwai in Gremlins is helping.
People are trolling on Twitter that Bran reached Carcosa.
Yeah, no, that's the first. I totally said Carcosa when he walked in. Yeah,
it's very.
My wife was pissed. She's like, "You stole it." I almost said that.
The layout of this room is very kind of. Obviously, it's tighter, but the throne has a similar silhouette to the Iron Throne. It has that kind of flayed out top, which is interesting.
In the book, I mean, just to cross-reference the book. This is the three-eyed crow. I mean, as he says, the guy was like a corpse.
He was like grown into the
Yeah,
tree.
he was like he had a worm growing out, a root growing out of one eye. Like he was just a corpse that had a mouth that moved. And here's an actual actor. I thought they would actually just use almost like a puppet type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think they just wanted the performance.
Saving money where they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, well, he's like, you know, obviously you can't get down from that tree. He's grown into it. So.
Yeah, but he's not as you know, dead as he's in the book.
And great to see so much emergency from everybody. You know, Brienne, like, gotta find Arya. You know, even Cersei, like, gotta protect my son. Like, gotta kill, you know, execute Tyrion. Gotta escape prison. Gotta save my brother. You know, everyone, like, rushing to do something. And it's just nice to see this guy. Like, everything's cool, man.
Yeah,
you know, definitely a change of pace from a lot of the other character aspirations we've seen on the show.
The episode's called The Children, and literally it's the children of the forest, but on another sense, it's the characters that we're focusing here are the Stark children and the Lannister children.
Yeah, it's all the kids and Daenerys.
And Daenerys' dragons.
I mean, they're all kind of. I guess everyone's a child, and when you go,
I guess
enough, but a child of someone.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's it's definitely. Yeah, you kind of get one check in. I mean, we haven't seen Sansa, which I didn't think we would need after that episode 8 stuff. So it was good not to have one more check in with her. It was unnecessary.
Oh, that was very clear to me. Was the
out that
like, she walked out. It was like, see you in season 5.
It's very, very far along from where it is in the books.
Yeah.
So I don't think they need to touch that for a while.
So we've reunited with Brienne and Podrick. The moment she walked around this mountain and saw Arya there, I got really nervous. just in the same way when Bran saw Jon, you know, it was like, what are you guys gonna do?
Well, they do it.
And we get away with it pretty safe. We kind of end up the same place we did in the books. The Hound being indisposed, question mark, presumably dead, but who knows? It's George R. R. Martin we're talking about. And Brienne, you know, maybe has now renewed hope, which he doesn't necessarily have in the books, and is going to continue searching for Arya. And Arya now has a multitude of excuses why she's going to screw Westeros and get the hell out of here. And you know, when my take on it was when even people who are out to protect her are seemingly just bonkers, off their head, crazy, she can't really count on anyone but herself.
Well, that's the thing. She's definitely knows she picked up some skills and doesn't need these other people. Yeah, I thought in the end, like in the book, the Hound and Arya stuff is so much shorter. So structuring it out was great. Like seeing these two together were awesome. I had no problem with any of that. And then Brienne just like meanders forever and like runs into all these red herrings and goes down the wrong path way too many times. So like having these two main characters that are both kind of just wandering through the same area, touch base, is great. Because there's no reason for her to even believe the Stark children are still alive. Like, why are you going on this like random mission in the book where you're like, no one's seen these kids for at this point like a year?
Well, it's always fun when,
for like a year or two at this point.
Yeah,
they're
like,
not
ghosts.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna still keep walking around to find her, and you're like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Like,
it's fun to see characters not recognize each other. Podrick only recognizes the Hound because of his face. You know, he wouldn't have known who he was, and the Hound certainly wouldn't have told him who he is.
Yeah, the Hound has no idea who Podrick is. I like, cause he's like, who are you? Like, whatever.
I like the look on Jon Snow's face when Stannis is like, you're speaking to Stannis Baratheon, the king of the, and they cut to Jon being like, oh, that's what Stannis looks like. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard stories
I don't
about
know who
him.
you are.
Yeah, Dad told me about you.
And you know, them bumping into Hot Pie, you know, all these characters, like, I don't know who you are, you know, and we'll actually, you know, not to get into spoilers, but we've seen lots of characters that are going on journeys at the end of this episode, and maybe they'll meet up. And George definitely enjoyed doing that, and especially in the last book, I felt there was a lot of characters bumping into each other. And
there was always random people just bumping into each other, like the end and the middle, like the end of the crossroads. So it's like, yeah, it's nice to see those things still happen. I know people were angry about this scene, and I'm like, whatever. Like, why? I don't need two separate. The thing is, like, I didn't need two separate scenes either. Like, we needed to do a check-in with each of these guys, both fighting random people, because in the end, the Hound has to get hurt by someone, and Arya has to leave him. So to have these two combined, totally
it's a good versus too.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like
Brienne, we know how she is against Jaime.
Yeah,
you know, but this is like the Hound is also a formidable opponent, so this is like two superhero classes
and
fighting
Jaime's
each other.
like down one hand, so he's not a huge.
Yeah.
No, it's great to see these two because it proves that she's not just.
Oh, she beats him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's wounded though from the bite, you know, so he's not 100%, but it's still great, like how the whole thing happened. And also,
plus she has a better sword.
She does have a Valyrian steel sword. Yeah. I think this was more brutal than the Red Viper fight. Even though the Red Viper fight ended with the head exploding, you know, that was pretty brutal. And in terms of just like just sheer like punch.
Well, it's certainly more intense. Like the Viper's totally cocky during
like
this fight.
she bit his ear off, dude. That's insane.
Well, the other thing is you don't know who to vote, like really root for in this.
That too, yes.
Like
I like the Hound. He's one of my favorite characters,
but he's great. And you know, it's like you don't really want Arya to go back like with Brienne because you don't know where she's taking her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was great.
The fight was great, and then
so many crotch punches.
I liked how Arya's
Or
rooting
kicks.
for the Hound.
Yeah.
But when she met Brienne, and she's like, wow, girl warrior, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be like you.
Well, it's just that conflicting thing. It's great to see in Brienne's face the horror draw upon her, where she's like, "Oh my God,
That's
you're
Arya Stark.
Arya," you know, and all these realizations. The show and George love to smash expectations, and you know, you would imagine like, "Oh, it's gonna be so great when she finally finds Arya," and it's like, turns out it's not. Turns out all your dreams of this wonderful reunion and these two ladies going off and teaching each other, you know, things about being women warriors, not gonna happen.
Well, it also proves that you know it's kind of the same thing that happened with Bran. Like Arya actually wants to move on. Like she's forced to do this now. Like she has to go on the run. Bran, when he could have went out and meet with Jon, he was like, "No, I have a mission. There's a bigger calling for me."
Mm-hmm.
And we never saw this fight anywhere in any ad and anything, so they definitely saved this.
Yeah, there was like a quick scene of something like of each of them last week, and I was like, "Wow, those locations look a lot like
Very
the
similar.
same." I wonder what this means.
Yeah. I'm glad it happened, though. Fight scenes are awesome.
Yep. And between two warriors that are kind of equally, you know, not just... There's been a lot of fights this season of people just getting mowed down. I'm like, I'm so much better than you. Cut you in half. Cut this person in half. And now it's like, oh, two people could actually go at it.
He got really fucked, though.
Yeah.
Like, look at his...
Thrown off
yeah,
the side
like,
of a
thrown
mountain.
off. He's all bloody, not missing an ear, like a huge, hole in his leg. That's crazy. And then Arya is... I think this is Arya 100% now.
Yeah.
Like, she is just stone cold.
Well, there's definitely an echoing of the scene when he left the farmer and took his gold, or took his silver.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, thanks for teaching me. I'm going to take your shit, too.
But he taught her to kill people that are dying. And she's like, no, I'm not going to kill you.
No, he's an animal, right? He's
But
a hound.
but I
she's
thought...
leaving out in the middle of Westeros. It's the nicest thing she could do for him right now is kill him.
Yeah, but I thought she, after seeing him defend her, and he was kind of like, even here, like, he's trying to like insult Sansa and all that stuff, just to like, and she knows, like, yeah, you're trying to trick me into anger, and that's crazy.
The kids grow up and they grow up. Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to the title of the episode until it was almost over, that it was called Children. It was great.
The children.
Great.
So she's not even going to dig him a grave, just leaves him to die.
And Arya is one of the favorite characters. I think Arya and Tyrion are maybe the two favorite characters in the show.
Yeah, it's probably like Arya, Tyrion, Jon, and Dany.
Yeah.
For people, just because they like.
But Dany's mostly like the fangirls, I think.
Yeah,
like
also, but I think, like, I had a friend
movement.
tweeting last night, like, why do people like Daenerys? And I'm like, because dragons.
Because they like the
she's
dragons.
She's the one that has some
Yeah.
dragons. And it's also like her stuff it's nice to see just because she's so far away.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is a world that exists. It's not just a, a small group of people that are bitching at each other.
Yeah. And here we are,
Speaking
Tyrion
of troubled
breaking
kids.
Yeah.
on Father's Day.
Yeah, this was the greatest. As soon as I realized that this episode was going to be on Father's Day, I like uncontrollably giggled to myself for like 5 minutes. I'm like, this is great. There's so much meta trolling in this episode. It's called The Children. It's on Father's Day. It's like, keep doing it. Just go with it, HBO. I love it.
And great, lots of foreshadowing to the scene. Speaking, Littlefinger speaks of people dying on chamber pots.
Yep.
Tyrion and Jaime speaking before talked about patricide and matricide and
yeah.
coming up with those terms and all the horrible things people do to their own family. And great to get one final goodbye between the between these two characters.
Yeah, Jaime really, really cares for Tyrion. I mean, and not only Jaime, but Varys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his only true friend besides Jaime.
Does Varys do the double take in the book? I can't remember.
I love that.
Hearing the bells and being like
nope.
180.
Well, at the end of the book, he disappears for a while, and you don't know where he goes. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that's where he went. And like, he's like, I got this ship here. I'm not. Oh wait, fuck. Like, I got to get on it now. So it's you only see the point of view. And the thing in the book, it's like as soon as Tyrion gets in the box, it cuts away.
Yeah, and in the book, Varys shows him the way out, And then Tyrion asks, "Wait, this other path leads to the Tower of the Hand." He's like, "No, don't do that. I'm gonna do this first."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Okay, my master, my lord." And then,
well, remember, this is how he, the person I was with was like, "How does he know his way through here?" And I was like, "This was his chamber. This was how he snuck out to see Shay back in the day. Like this was his. He was the Hand."
And he can fit in these places.
Yeah.
It seemed like something
Shay.
we definitely know.
Shay in Tywin's bed.
Love that Shay immediately goes for the knife. I love that he uses gravity to his advantage. Because it is something you would question, nothing against the mighty Peter Dinklage, but just like, how could even though he is a man and she is a woman, like, how is he going to overpower her?
He's been doing push-ups in prison.
Sweet, yeah.
He's got sweet arms now.
Also, like, it's something from the book. I mean, he strangles her here with like a bed sheet, is it, or something?
It's the chain. It's the gold chain that he gave her.
It's the gold chain that he gives her.
Oh, okay.
With the hands on it, right?
Does it have the hands here?
I don't think it have the hands.
Yeah,
I didn't see the hands. I love that they cut away to the hand pendant, which I guess they used to establish that, like, this is Tywin's room. That's Tywin's clothes. He was previously in this room. But the second they cut to the pendant, I was like, uh-oh, HBO. I just pictured him, like, gouging her eyes out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. but having, like, in the book, I think, what's the thing Gurm writes, it's like the grip of gold is always cold or something like that, when he's like strangling her with a hand necklace. But yeah, here's the fight scene.
And terrifying. You don't really see the expression on her face when he's doing it. It's just a real close up on Peter hanging there, just absolutely putting every ounce of energy he has into doing it, being final about it.
He obviously doesn't want, he doesn't want to do it. He's forced to do it. Like, it's interesting that she goes for the knife first, because he's like, oh, fuck. Like, it could have played out completely different if she was like...
Not expecting this. Yeah. And something I've been waiting to say forever about this show. I think we said it in Spoiler Dragon one time, but when did this start? When did they have sex for the first time?
We have no idea.
Some people have brought up, like, I think there's, in one scene, he says, oh, take her to my chambers or something. Like, there's some hints at it, but we don't really know. Like, Shay's kind of a mystery, and... it's cool to leave it that way. Again, we commented earlier about how Shay was a little pouty. Whether that was an act, we don't know. But terrible way to die. It's how it happens in the books. It's a very emotional scene.
Tywin's a hypocrite too.
A complete hypocrite. Yeah, and he, in the scene coming up, there's a lot of things that he's obviously trying to weasel his way. Let's go back to my chambers and talk. It's kind of just interesting that he would assume that Tyrion would be okay with that. Tyrion, oh, of course, let's go back to your office. Let me remove the fact that I have the upper hand. We've seen another thing that I thought of right before I went to bed last night. I don't know if there's a connection here, but I'm going to read into, just for a bit, Joffrey shooting the boar that killed his father earlier in the scene when he shoots the bow, and then Tywin using it to kill his father. I don't know if there was some imagery there.
Yeah, I think that's the same crossbow.
It's definitely the same crossbow. I like that Joffrey makes a point to show him, here's how you load it, or shows Marjorie or something, and so we see him dragging that across the floor. It's so great. I thought this, maybe I'm just way too, I think Westeros is way too high class. I imagine this bathroom being just the most gorgeous, gold ornate, thing, and it's just great. It's just the outhouse in the back, it's just a real simple stone room. No reason to put up,
He's got a candle.
Potpourri. He's got a candle. Right? I wonder if it's
a lavender candle.
I wonder
I'm
if the maester made of a scented
It's
candle.
the first preview we've seen ever in the show. We've never seen a bathroom.
Tyrion shoots him twice. Only needs one shot in the book. Shoots him like in the side and in the shoulder, where like gets him right in the
right in the stomach,
right in the intestines. Yeah. Basically, right above the groin. I think is the way.
And he was standing when that happened, so he poops.
Yeah. Shits all over.
He shits all over, and he did not shit gold.
And everything, really stinks. I think it like smells really bad for a while.
Grim loves that shit.
Yeah. Loves reducing people down to their essence. Well, when Tywin walks into the throne room, doesn't it the horse take a shit?
Yeah.
Right after the Battle of Blackwater, he's like, "We won!" He loves that kind of stuff. Just anytime you can talk boobs and food and
poop jokes.
Yeah. He's a fan.
Tywin, this is the first time we actually see him kind of like nervous.
A little bit.
You can feel the nervousness behind the stare.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's trying every tactic possible. He's like, I wasn't gonna kill you. I didn't mean any of that. Like, it's like, oh, okay.
Did you really think I was gonna kill you? Really? And he's like, that's the last thing. I was literally waiting for the executioner. I thought Jaime was the executioner. such a goddamn great scene, man. I can't, anyone who listened to the show, we hope we haven't spoiled things for you, but like, this is it. I mean, ever since the first time I saw it, I was like, Charles Dance is going to be the guy sitting on the chamber pod getting shot? Let's do this show. I've been waiting for this the entire time this man has ever appeared in any scene ever. I mean, this is such a build-up.
It's sad that this is it, like, because he's been so good. Like, he's been one of the best actors on the show.
It's impossible to read the book without picturing him.
Yeah, no, not yet. He's one of the same thing for me.
It's
like,
going to be impossible for me to play Witcher 3.
Completely taken over now as like, or Peter Dinklage is now Tyrion in my head. Like, not for a lot of the kids, they aren't. Like Arya is was it Maisie Williams is like Arya now for me. Some of the other kids, like Bran, doesn't click for me still. Like when I picture Bran,
he's too big.
There's a couple other characters that don't click, but like these guys totally do.
And there in the book, I mean, it's not a spoiler at all, but in the book, he asks,
where do whores go?
Exactly, like, what happened to Taisha, my first wife?
Right, which, again, they would have to dig up. It's kind of like the Mountain. It's like, if we're really going to include him, we got to, like, give an introduction to him again and dig up all this stuff, and they probably just didn't have time, It's like, are we really going to focus on Tyrion's old girlfriend when most people don't remember who she is? It was in the show. It was the first time she met Shay, so it obviously has this nice bookend to their relationship.
That was the second horror... Like, say whore again,
right.
And then we said, wherever whores go, boom.
Because he keeps, I remember book 5 kept, that was like an echo in his head. Where do whores go from? God. And we're done. We're new voyages, everybody. Everybody's getting on ships and getting the hell out of town.
He's boxed in, literally and metaphorically, and in every way. Like,
do you think Peter Dinklage was in that the box in that crane shot? I wonder how committed he is to his craft. He's like, I gotta be in there. No. Was he in the box when Varys is standing next to him when they're on the ship?
Insurance would not let this happen.
No. I don't even think it's the same box. It doesn't have the eye holes.
Could be CG box for all we know.
Yeah, and then that Varys like getting on the
Varys just sitting next to the box.
Just like
I made my bed. I gotta sleep in it.
Well, it's right because it's like Jaime knows like that Varys was involved. It's like even though Jaime was involved, it's not that's a shit show.
So is this White Harbor?
I don't know where this is.
This is the last scene. This is Arya getting to the ship and getting the heck out of town.
No, it can't be White Harbor.
White Harbor would be too far north.
Yeah, this is the town
where in the book, Vale, right?
Yeah, in the book, this is a town where Littlefinger lands with Sansa.
It's the same location, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't see that in the show until now. I love this scene in the book. When this happened in the book, and she said, "Well," I like, bah! I just dropped the iPad. I was like, "Yes." And finally. This is almost word for word, like in the book.
Yeah, they do a really good job with this scene. I love this dude's face.
Yeah, the coin, it's iron.
As soon as he sees the coin, he's like, shit. Like.
Yeah, and in the book as well, like when he says Valado Ares, he puts 2 fingers on his forehead. Same thing. Really nice. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
She gets like a tiny bit of hope in her eyes for like the very first time, like
because it's a blank slate.
Yep.
No one's gonna know who she is. Thank God. She doesn't have to hide anymore.
So Tyrion and Arya, Varys, all heading across the sea.
Everyone is season 5 is almost a complete reboot.
Yeah.
Like all these characters are not traveling anymore. They're not in the status quo they've been for the last 3 seasons. Like,
I'm still waiting for the Titanic moment here. Her just like run up to the bow, outstretch her arms.
I've always said it's like books 1 through 3. It's like the game board gets knocked over, the pieces get reset. By the end, Tywin's out. He was kind of pulling all of the strings. Like new people are in charge, and then books 4 and 5, the scope of the whole world kind of gets brought back one more degree. It's like when you're on Google Maps and you hit the minus to go out one more, and you're like, oh shit, there's way more involved. Like it just kind of does that. Like, the people I thought were doing everything aren't actually as powerful as they thought. Like, and there's some new people involved. I think it's interesting though. Like, there's some big things that we didn't see this season.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we want to come back later.
Well, let's
hit a couple spoilers
into wrapping it up. Well, to wrap it up, because I'm only going to get you, Mr. Hoffman, for 2 more weeks, and so we were talking about doing one more show, and hopefully we get Ryan Stevens in on this.
Yeah.
That we will call that show Spoiler Dragon. Like we've talked about this last episode, we've talked about the whole season. Just kind of take the spoiler gloves off and really get into you know, Game Trailers of Thrones may or may not be returning next season. Certainly not with its original cast, including Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Stevens.
I could call in.
So, I'll get your notes beforehand. So, yeah, lots to talk about, and it's kind of nice to separate that, make a clean break.
Yeah, let's come back and do a full kind of spoiler.
But full season of Game Trailers of Thrones, everybody. 9 episodes to match the season's 10, but we did talk about everything. Yeah. We don't really advertise the show heavily on Game Trailers. We don't put up massives for it because it is non-gaming related, although next year when the Telltale game comes out, it'll be very game related. We'll have to do a whole separate show on that and see how that stuff ties in. And we might get a book between now and the next season if we get lucky, although I'm not counting on it.
Did you see the 538, the guy that does like all the political like predictions on who's going to win, did a predictions on when like George R. R. Martin's going to write the...
I wonder what the stakes are in
Vegas. It was crazy. And this came out this morning, and it was like he was analyzing the moods on his like blog compared to like how the Giants have done that season to the amount of words that he could write in a day, and it was just like, oh my god, this shit is just getting nuts. Like, we got to like, this fucking 6th book needs to come out.
Yeah,
it needs to be out.
The problem is that, I mean, and this has been documented this year especially a lot, he only writes in Santa Fe.
He hasn't been traveling, and that's the big thing. Yeah. Like, he's been in Santa Fe for like the last 6 months.
He's feeling the pressure now.
Yeah,
like this is it, and his publisher's begging him to write on the road. Because every time there's a new season, he has to travel promoting it, blah, blah, blah.
He can't take his, like, 1986 DOS-based computer with him on the road, because that's what he fucking uses. Like, someone get this guy a MacBook Air. Someone get a guy that just follows him around and transcribes everyone he says. Like, hey, I don't have a job. I'm willing to do that. Like, let's get this book out quicker, people. Like, let's do this.
What if he just had Podrick? That'd be so great if he just had Podrick following him around.
I need this next book.
So, to wrap things up, thank you so much if you're watching this episode, if you followed us this whole time. We love, I mean, even though things are tumultuous at Game Trailers right now, there was no question we were going to get in somebody, even if it was just Marco or Jeremy, to talk about the show. So it's such a treat for you guys to comment with us and share this experience with us. So one more episode, and then we'll all have to sit around and wait for the next trailer and endure the wait. Mike Damiani was like, I have no books to read. He's like, last season there were still books I had to read. Now I have nothing but the waiting. It was
Dunkin' Egg.
Dunkin' Egg. There's shorts. There's 4 shorts. The other thing I guess I should say is, before you wrap it up, I don't want to interrupt, but let us know what you want us to talk about next week. So, like, I know there's pressing questions of, you know, L plus R equals J type things.
LDH.
Where's
LSH?
Where's LSH? Where's Cold Hands? Like, we could get into this. So yeah, let us know what you want us to chat about. I have some things I want to get off my chest. Who is the grave digger? A little bit about Robert Strong. You know, who's
Mummer's Dragon.
Like, let's go full book spoilers as well, people. We don't know if this will ever come back, so let's get it all out there.
But hell of a season, man. They really nailed it. It was really spectacular. Maybe one of the best we've gotten so far. So, bravo, HBO. We will see you guys next season and see you guys next week to talk about some spoilers. Thanks for watching.